Hey guys, it's Ross going on the Space Couch. Today I want to talk to you about an organisation called Copenhagen Suborbitals. Now, Copenhagen Suborbitals is another one of those under-the-radar companies that you may not have heard of. They're a Danish non-profit aerospace organisation that's constructed, tested and launched several privately built rockets. And their goal is to develop inexpensive, for a given value of inexpensive of course, suborbital rather than orbital manned space flights, away from the influence of governments and large corporations, hopefully. Now, they were founded in 2008 by a guy called Christian von Benson, who left in 2014 but later returned to the project, and he's also is or was an advisor to the Mars One project, and a guy called Peter Madsen, who left in 2014. So the test flight was in June 2011, and it was a sea launch from a mobile platform in the Baltic Sea. Now this rocket was known as the Heat 1X, but the flight had to be aborted, unfortunately, after about 21 seconds. It had gotten about 2.8 kilometres into the atmosphere. The rocket had started to veer off course, and obviously you can't have that because who knows where it'll end up. Time to abort. So the next flight of their rockets was in June 2013, and that is when they successfully launched the Sapphire 1 rocket to an altitude of 8.5 kilometres, so much further than the first one. Now, to achieve their goal of inexpensive suborbital flights, they've done a lot of fundraising, but only through donations and sponsorship, rather than, say, investments from venture capitalist firms or from governments. Like, say, the British government's invested in Skylon reaction engines, for instance. They're not going down that route, our Copenhagen Suborbitals. They believe in keeping things simple, like SpaceX, I guess, and unlike United Launch Alliance. Now, they prefer to use simple mechanical solutions for complex electronic problems. This also helps to avoid the inevitable mountain of red tape that's generated by using tech that is only lightly regulated. You don't want to start going, is it the ETAR rules in the United States, where everything is impossible to export or share with people because it has a military application? Yeah, so Copenhagen Suborbitals, they're trying to avoid all of that. Now, they do have a proposed little micro spacecraft, and it's called the Tycho Brahe, after the Danish astronomer. I've never been sure on how to pronounce the surname, apologies if I pronounced it wrong. Now, this is a capsule that will be able to hold one person. Now, it kind of looks a bit like one of those Star Trek photon torpedoes, just like long, it's almost like a coffin, with like a glass perspex viewing dome at the top. Problem is, you're standing up for launch, and there's a lot of physiological problems associated with acceleration while standing. So development of that was abandoned. So that's probably a good idea, I mean, you always see them getting crushed into their seats on launch. You don't want to be standing up for something like that. It could be very dangerous. Not dangerous in the whole exploding thing, but dangerous in you might hurt yourself doing it. Anyway, that little mini spacecraft is now on display at the Tycho Brahe Planetarium in Copenhagen. They are also working on their Tycho Brahe deep space capsule, and unlike the other version, this one would allow the passenger to lie horizontal rather than vertical, which is a much better idea. So, in 2010, the Copenhagen Suborbitals Support Group, that's known as CSS, was founded to provide moral, economic and practical support. It's a bunch of engineers working on rockets after work at night and at the weekend, It's like men in their sheds, literally. And they pay a fixed monthly amount, and that helps cover the project's costs and means they don't have to reach out to private industry or governments for funding. There's now over 100 members of this CS support group. So hopefully that means we will see and hear a lot more about Copenhagen Suborbitals in the future. Now, what I do like about this company is it's not a giant corporation. I know SpaceX isn't a giant corporation, but you know what I mean. It is literally a collective, Anyone can build rockets if you know how and you have the funding. This shows there are alternate routes to that goal. You don't necessarily have to go out to the corporations and the governments for your funding. You can club in and do it together. Great idea. Very much looking forward to more things from Copenhagen Suborbitals. There was a very good interview with the people behind it on the TMRO channel a few months ago, which I strongly suggest you check out. Anyway, guys, that was just a quick discussion of Copenhagen Suborbitals, you know. Like I said, another one of these companies that you may not have heard of, but could just spring out of nowhere. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave a comment or suggestion for an upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or why don't you hit that big high five?